Almost nobody grabs mushrooms for protein. Yet in one form, a single serving can rival steak, with up to 40% protein by weight. The truth hides in nutrition labels, in water content, and in factory fermenters, not on farms. Why is this powerhouse not in every fitness plan? And what is real behind those shocking numbers? Let us unravel what being better than chicken actually means, and why you have almost never heard the full story. Fresh mushrooms look impressive in the produce aisle, but their real story starts with water. A typical button mushroom is about 92% water by weight. Shiitake and oyster mushrooms are the same, sometimes even higher. That means if you pick up 100 grams of fresh mushrooms, you are really holding less than 10 grams of actual mushroom solids. The rest is just moisture. So when a label claims 40% protein, there is a catch. It is almost always measured after drying. Drying mushrooms removes nearly all their water, shrinking them to a fraction of their original size and concentrating every nutrient, including protein, by up to 10 times. This is a dry weight comparison, not the fresh serving on your plate. Lab testing does not just rely on a kitchen scale. Scientists use methods like the Kjeldahl test or the Dumas test, which measure the nitrogen content of a food sample. Because protein is rich in nitrogen, these tests estimate total protein by multiplying the nitrogen result by a conversion factor, often 6.25 for general foods, though mushrooms sometimes use a slightly lower number. These tests can count more than just pure protein, sometimes picking up other nitrogen-containing compounds in mushrooms like chitin from cell walls. That is one reason why dry weight protein numbers can look higher than what your body might actually use. Pay attention to tests and context. On a dry weight basis, certain mushrooms like shiitake, oyster, and some wild varieties really can hit 25 to 40 grams of protein per 100 grams of dried mushrooms. But in a real meal, you are rarely eating 100 grams of dried mushrooms. Most servings are fresh or rehydrated, so the protein per plate drops back down to a few grams. This is why protein claims on powders and supplements can sound sky high while the numbers on fresh produce look modest. Remember, serving size matters. Understanding how water content and lab math inflate the numbers is the first step to reading nutrition labels with a critical eye. The next time a package shouts about protein, check whether it is talking about dry weight or an actual serving. That difference is the hidden factor behind the 40% protein headline. Check the label, compare protein per serving, and compare protein per calorie. Inside a modern mycoprotein factory, the process begins with a single fungal spore, usually Fusarium venenatum, dropped into a nutrient-rich broth. This is not a mushroom farm with stacks of logs or trays of compost. Instead, the heart of production is a towering airlift bioreactor, stretching up to 30 meters high. Within this sealed column, a constant supply of glucose, ammonia, and minerals feeds the rapidly multiplying mycelium. Air is pumped from the base, keeping everything in perpetual motion and supplying the oxygen needed for growth. Every few hours, a portion of the dense fungal broth is drawn off, while fresh nutrients flow in, keeping the system running for weeks at a time. The harvested broth is only the beginning. At this stage, the biomass contains not just protein and fiber, but also a hefty amount of RNA. High levels of RNA can cause health problems if eaten in large quantities, so the next step is crucial. The mixture is quickly heated to about 68 degrees Celsius for 15 to 30 minutes. This heat step breaks down RNA, dropping its content from around 10 to 15% to less than 2%. Once cooled, the thick paste is spun in industrial centrifuges, removing excess water and concentrating the solids to about 20 to 30% of the original volume. Texture is what makes mycoprotein stand out from other protein sources. The damp pale paste is mixed with binders, often egg white or plant-based alternatives, and then heated again. This transforms the tangled fungal threads into fibers that mimic the bite and chew of chicken or beef. The mixture is then shaped, sliced, and frozen. Freezing is not just for storage, it helps align the fibers, locking in the meat-like structure that defines products like corn. From a microscopic spore to a fibrous, protein-rich food, the journey is tightly controlled at every step. Each stage, fermentation, RNA reduction, dewatering, texturization, turns what starts as a broth into something you might find on a dinner plate or in a lunchbox. What was once abstract nutrition math becomes a tangible product, ready for a fair comparison to the protein sources most people already know. A roasted chicken breast sits on one plate. It contains 27 grams of protein and 140 calories, and it includes all 9 essential amino acids. Next to it, a serving of mycoprotein, about 100 grams prepared, delivers 13 grams of protein for just over 100 calories, plus 6 grams of fiber that chicken cannot touch. The protein numbers are not just close. On a per-calorie basis, mycoprotein holds its own. Chicken clocks in at 0.19 grams of protein per calorie. Mycoprotein lands at 0.13 grams of protein per calorie. Dried mushrooms, if you could eat a full 100 grams, would rival both at 25 to 40 grams of protein, but that is a dense and impractical serving. Think of eating a whole bag of jerky in one go. But the real question is not just about grams or percentages. Registered dietitian Jamie Lynn says that when we talk about protein, we are looking for a complete amino acid profile and how much your body can actually absorb. Chicken sets the standard with a PDCAAS score that measures protein digestibility and amino acid content, and that score is 0.92. Mycoprotein has a score of 0.91. That is almost identical, and it means the protein in mycoprotein is nearly as useful for building muscle or supporting recovery as the protein in chicken. Dried mushrooms score a little lower, around 0.85, but still outperform most grains and many legumes. There is another twist, mycoprotein's fiber content. That 6 grams per serving is not just filler. It slows digestion, helps you feel full, and supports gut health. Chicken, for all its protein, has none. Some athletes and trainers are starting to notice. Mycoprotein's mix of protein and fiber leads to steadier energy and longer satiety, making it a favorite for people balancing fitness with appetite control. The numbers are honest. Per serving, chicken still delivers more pure protein, but mycoprotein is not far behind, and it brings extra benefits to the table. The real surprise is how close the quality and quantity can get, especially when you factor in calories, fiber, and how much your body can actually use. For anyone comparing labels, the gap between meat and fungi is a lot smaller than most people think. Chicken and eggs keep their spot at the center of the plate for a reason. In the US alone, government crop subsidies pour billions into corn and soy, mainly to feed livestock and poultry. That advantage keeps chicken cheap and everywhere, while alternative proteins like mycoprotein get no such help. In the European Union, the story is similar, with over 50 billion euros a year flowing into feed crops and animal agriculture, and almost nothing going to fungi-based foods. With this kind of economic inertia, even the most innovative mushroom protein faces an uphill climb to reach your grocery basket. For anyone browsing the supermarket, the real challenge is not just price or placement, it is decoding the label. Brands love to advertise protein numbers, but the fine print matters. Look for the serving size first. If a powder or dried mushroom claims 40% protein, check how much you would actually eat in a serving. A scoop might deliver 5 or 10 grams, not the headline number. For prepared products like mycoprotein, nuggets, or patties, a good rule of thumb is at least 15 grams of protein per serving. That is the benchmark nutritionists recommend for a meal that actually satisfies. Fiber is another bonus to watch for. Mycoprotein products often pack 5 to 6 grams per serving, which helps with fullness and gut health. But sodium can sneak in, especially in meat alternatives, so aim for less than 500 milligrams per serving if you are watching your intake. Ingredient lists matter too. The shorter and more recognizable the list, the better. If you see a long list of additives, stabilizers, or unfamiliar binders, you are looking at an ultra-processed product, not a whole food swap. Allergies deserve a quick mention. Most people tolerate mycoprotein well, but a small percentage, estimated at 5 to 8%, report digestive issues or rare allergic reactions. If you are new to these foods, start with a small portion and see how your body responds. Navigating the protein aisle is not just about chasing the highest number. It is about context, serving size, and what else comes with the protein. With a little label savvy, you can spot the real contenders, whether they come from a chicken, a field, or a fermentation tank. Protein is not just about what is on the label, it is about what gets a spot on your plate. As fermentation technology and food habits shift, fungi protein could change what we call meat itself. Today, the future of protein is growing in tanks, not barns. What will you choose next?